custody.
Are you,
I'll review all
can we
these.
please talk about this?
Yeah, you go back into jail and I'll.
I have my vehicle outside and stuff though.
Yeah, okay, you go back here and I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Today?
Yeah, right now, you're going into lockup.
No, I'm at.
Mr. Chris, the allegation is that on or about March 29th, you assaulted Michael Kurth in Three Rivers. It's a misdemeanor punishable by up to 93 days in jail and a fine of up to $500. How do you plead to that charge?
Before I plead, I'd like to have it put on the record that they're, for the alleged actions, they're trying to charge me twice. They're trying to charge me with an assault and battery as well as violating a restraining order for the same actions.
Well, they can do that.
Why?
It's two different things.
But it's the same action, isn't that double jeopardy?
No. Let's say you have a trespass order and you're not supposed to trespass on a piece of property. And you enter into the property and punch somebody. Well, they can charge you with trespassing and the assault. So I'm assuming you wish to plead not guilty to?
But that's violating two different laws. I supposedly violated with the same action. It wasn't two different things. They're trying to charge me with the same action for two different cases. That's not, I mean.
All right, well, if you want a lawyer, I'll get you one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, I didn't do anything anyways, but from what they said, that from the affidavit that they gave me, the action.
Who has the restraint, which judge has the restraining order?
Patterson. I have not an arraignment. I mean, I guess it'd be a preliminary exam conference tomorrow morning with him. Because they're saying I violated the restraining order by assaulting him.
Okay, well, all right, we'll sort that out. Set attorney pretrial for July 12th, 2024. Mr. Chris owes $1,175 worth of unpaid fines and costs. He has a controlled substance case from 2021 where he owes $175. He has a defective equipment case where he owes $125. He has a previous assault and battery, 221627, where he owes $275. He has disturbing the peace where he got the minimum fine of $125. He hasn't paid that. 222147. And he has a felony resisting and obstructing reduced to a misdemeanor attempted resisting and obstructing. He owes $475 and he hasn't paid anything on that. So why don't you please take Mr. Christ into custody?
Can we please talk about this?
Yeah, you go back into jail and I'll.
I have my vehicle outside and stuff though.
Yeah, okay, you go back here and I'll talk to you in a little bit. Today? Yeah, right now. You're going into lockup.
No, are you gonna talk to me today?
Yeah. You keep getting charged with assault crimes and then you don't pay any of the fine. I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Okay.
He does great. He goes off his medications and he doesn't do so great. File 24176 OM is a trespass. He has Luke Knopfsinger as his lawyer. That is February 2nd. February 9th, trespass. 24235 OM. 24344 OM, trespass, February 28th. 24345 OM, trespass, February 23rd. And another one on February 23rd, 24346. 24335 OM, trespass, February 24th.
Mr.
Just a minute, 24470 OM, trespass, March 15th. Luke Knopfsinger represents him in all of those cases. When I get a hold of him a little bit, then he doesn't show up, and he didn't show up multiple times. I sent them all for a show cause. I'm gonna do a bench warrant on every one of these at $100 per case. As we've discussed, he believes he owns the Shell station. And he keeps going in there and they don't arrest him, they just give him a ticket. If I do these bench warrants,
Said that he doesn't have to respond or have this pre-trial. It's dismissed.
bond, $100, cash or surety per file. It was at Pivotal Clubhouse. They were doing a good job with him, but I don't believe he's there.
So this case number.
40-hour hold. All right, what have you got, Melissa?
McClish,
Yes,
he is saying that he doesn't have to hold this pretrial this morning, something about.
yes, he had, he got charged twice for the same thing, once under city ordinance, once under state statute.
Oh,
And you charged him with state statute, high BAC. TJ had him for an arraignment on a regular ticket from May 12th. He got charged twice with the same thing. So he has a prior from 2012. I didn't know if he's sobriety court material, but I got him an attorney on both cases. TJ wasn't willing to dismiss his ordinance case yet until it was all sorted out.
yeah,
But I set him for a pretrial on yours with a lawyer for June 12th,
okay. Got it.
July 12th.
Okay. So I'll have to figure it out then. Okay, I'll go tell him he's all good then, he can go.
Yeah, and then you had another in custody.
Yes, Storm Schwartz.
Yes,
I was waiting to go see him, I didn't have anyone to take me back,
okay.
so,
Well, and I put Joseph Christ in jail. He's sitting in a lockup.
and then I have a Jason Yant
Yes.
that I got that has checked in.
Let me show you this. Jason Yant. Well, you can look at both of these. Darn it. Oh, that's a booking fee. You can have that while you're talking to them. This is how much they have in unpaid fines and costs
Okay.
and whatever else is going on with them. Let's get Mr. Christ back here. Load some of this stuff. Thank you for your patience, Keith.
Okay. We'll meet with these two Yant and Schwartz.
I have seen that before, but it's very rare that they get charged
Both, yeah.
both. And that other guy was troubling, that it was an accident with a high blood alcohol level, and that one fell through the cracks. Pull on Mr. Crest. He looks like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
If I had.
Now you won't be able to unsee that, but. See Mr. Chris back in my courtroom, I had him taken back in lockup. All right, thank you. Bye. All right, let's see what the first one is.
Sort of a weird day for that ribbon cutting.
Yeah, it was not. Judge Tomlinson was a little put out. He already had stuff scheduled. And then it wasn't clear where they were going to do it or who was going to speak or what? Yeah, Tuesdays are generally our busiest day.
Getting after a holiday.
Yeah, I'm not sure who picked it.
I don't want to see my arraignment list yet.
It wasn't bad,
No?
no. A couple of circuit court cases. Well, essentially, he got a bunch of jail time and all these fines were left over. And he was put on a payment plan for all of them and never made a payment. One was a probation violation for failing to report, failing to pay fines and costs. Judge Pattison gave him 57 days and a payment plan on the fines. The assaults, same thing, went to jail, leftover fines and costs, payment plan. And as far as I can tell, he never made one payment. I was sentencing at 10:30.
First off, Your Honor, if you felt disrespect anyway, I apologize. I was just trying to ask questions. I wasn't disagreeing or trying to be disrespectful. I was just trying to ask questions.
All right, thanks. I just wanted to clear the decks while we take care of the other stuff. This is a return to Joseph Christ. He was here on an assault and battery case. He pled not guilty. I appointed an attorney for him and filed 24779 SM and set it for a pretrial for July 12th. Mr. Christ has had a bunch of other cases over the years. And I tried to deal with a bunch of these probably in 2023. In file 211409 FY, you were charged with felony possession of methamphetamine. It was reduced to a misdemeanor use of methamphetamine. There was a probation violation. Judge Pattison gave you 60 days in jail and there was a $175 fine left over, which you were to pay on a payment plan. You had an assault and battery where you did 29 days in jail and you owed $275. I think that was Judge Pattison. And you were on the same payment plan. You were going to pay $50 every 2 weeks. Then you had a disturbing the peace in file 222147 and you owed $125 and on a payment plan. And then I saw you in January on a felony resisting obstructing a police officer reduced to a misdemeanor attempt. I put you a payment plan on all 4 of these, plus there's an unpaid traffic ticket. And as far as I can tell, you never made one payment from January.
I was, while working at Little Caesars from March of last year up till December, I was making payments every check. You said you wanted $50 every check, and I was doing that for months.
Well, let's take a look.
I made several payments, and I had them down pretty low, and then I ended up losing my job. They transferred me.
Well, you made some payments.
Yeah, I was paying. They said I had them down pretty low, at least from what they told me in the office.
Well, that was 50. Then we reduced it to 20. And you did make some payments. And then in January, you stopped paying.
Right after I lost my job, they transferred me to Sturgis, and I just couldn't make the commute, and they didn't really care that I couldn't make the commute. They didn't want to transfer me back to Three Rivers, and
Well, where are you living now?
I pretty much stay in my car. I mean, I park at my mom's on 3rd Street in Three Rivers, but I pretty much stay in my car. There's not really room for me at her house, and I'm not trying to overload her, so I just pretty much stay in my car.
Are you working someplace?
No, but on the 6th of June, there's a WSI job fair. They told me to attend, and they said that as long as I come there with 2 forms of ID, that they will have me a job that day. They said I just have to be there.
You're right. You did make a number of payments. We reduced it from 50 to 20. And then you stopped paying and we sort of lost track of you. So I'm not going to do anything. I'll just say I reminded you
Okay, thank you.
of the payment plan. We're going to talk about it again on July 12th. So I want to see if you start to make payments by July 12th.
At $20 payments.
Well, $20 is better than none.
Okay, I just wasn't sure what the minimum
Yeah,
had
there's
to
a
be.
lot of money spread over a bunch of different files.
That's what was so confusing to me about it, because they told me one case was, they said it was almost done, and then they said that one was at 0, and I asked them what that meant, and they said that was just one of them that was included in the grouping of it or whatever. But I will definitely go do something and find an odd job or something and get a payment made before July 12th.
All right, Mr. Chris, you're good to go.
That'd be-
Now, you still need to go out to the counter regarding your court-appointed counsel.
I'll get these checks off.
Yeah. All right, Keith, I think that's it. This is the time and date for sentencing in the matter of People versus Bruce Clark Irwin. He was charged with assault with a dangerous weapon, which was a board, child abuse in the 3rd degree, and domestic violence second offense. He entered a plea to domestic violence second offense, and the other charges were dismissed. The matter was set for sentencing today. I wanted to see if there was any victim input. I wanted to get the police report. Thank you to the prosecutor's staff. They gave me the report. And so see what, if anything, had happened with this Children's Protective Services referral. So the matter was set for sentencing today. Mr. John Bush is here with the defendant. And are you here on this case? All right, let's have someone else here that has some interest in it. Mr. Bush, we don't have a prosecutor, but what would you like me to know here?
Well, I can update you on some matters.
All right,
I have been appointed to represent him in the family court in a matter involving abuse and neglect. We were in court last week. Mr. Irwin waived probable cause hearing and agreed to consent to services, and we asked that a pretrial conference be set. He's obviously having no contact with his 17-year-old Brock, who was the victim in this case, but he was granted supervised visitation with his 8-year-old Grayson. In the courtroom is Kristen Wheeler. She is the significant other of Mr. Irwin, and for the time being, even though she's not the mother, she is doing the day-to-day care for the victim in this case, who is 17 and is still a student. Mr. Irwin would want the court to know that he is 48 years of age. He's employed at RC Trailers in Middlebury. He's had the job for approximately 10 years. He works 6 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. He has a driver's license. The significance with that is potentially if he's serving a jail sentence, he could perhaps be eligible for work release. He's a high school graduate. There is no excuse for what happened, but I think there's perhaps some mitigation for what happened. This was April 21st. My client had his 2 sons with him, Brock, who was 17, and Grayson, who was 8. They had left and were going to Vicksburg. Brock and Grayson were not getting along. They were quibbling and arguing, and it got more and more aggravated. When they got back to their home, Brock, the victim in this case, exited the vehicle and slammed the door. And then there was a confrontation between Brock and Grayson. That would be the brothers between 17 and age 8. And Brock knocked Grayson to the ground. My client acknowledges the wrongfulness of what happened. He lost his temper. There was a board in that area, and he lashed out and struck his son. He was bleeding. The person in the courtroom, Chris, took him to the hospital in Sturgis. White Pigeon Police Department came to the scene. I believe Mr. Irwin was forthright and honest when he talked with them. He's going to be receiving services undoubtedly through the abuse and neglect case in St. Joseph County. I would ask the court to fashion a sentence with probationary services. Thank you.
thank you. Mr. Irwin, where are you staying?
I stay in Constantine on Maple Street.
I think you told me that last time.
No, big fan next door.
So your girlfriend is staying in the home, well, the Maple Street house in Constantine. Where are your sons staying?
My youngest son, 8-year-old, stays with his mother.
All right, where is she?
She's in Marcellus.
Okay,
There's an occasions where Chris has had him since this. She had him for a night.
Again, when he's referring to Chris, that's his significant other that's in the court.
And then Brock has pretty much been almost 5-7 days a week, other than a couple of visitations with his mother,
where's his mother?
Marcellus,
Same mother?
same mother.
Okay,
I have 3 sons. Actually, I have another oldest one that lives with me too.
I mean, some of the significance was they wanted to finish school. So the idea was that Brock might stay with his significant other.
so do they go to school? Well, Brock went to Constantine?
He goes to White, I stay in Constantine. My home is in White Pigeon, and Brock,
All right, yeah,
Goes to
this
White-
happened on Kalamazoo Street in White
yeah,
Pigeon.
Brock goes to White Pigeon School.
Okay. And he's a junior?
He's actually, he's a dual student,
He's a sophomore currently.
Sophomore. All
well,
right.
sophomore, but he'll be a junior and he's a dual student.
Okay. I didn't get any victim input that I could find, and I don't have the prosecutor here. I am pleased, I guess, that Protective Services is involved. Mr. Irwin was quite, I'm not sure what the right word is, accepting of responsibility for this. He didn't beat around the bush. He wasn't proud of it, but he owned it. And there's a saying in Latin, which I can't re-quote it, but it's my quote, the truth is somewhere in the middle. And Brock was somewhat unclear as to what happened. As I said, he said, I don't know what happened. My dad hit me in the head with a board. He said, what led up to it? He said he did not know. They were arguing, he couldn't even remember what it was about. He said he didn't threaten his dad. His dad just picked up a board and hit him with it. And obviously, I don't believe that you would just gratuitously hit him in the head with a board. You were upset. But he had to get staples in his head and he had to get a CAT scan and everything that goes with that, which is probably all on your insurance, I would assume. And then the police did what they're compelled to do as a mandated reporter, reported it to Child Protective Services. And some of this, and I tried not to make light of it, but about how 17-year-olds can be irritating. I remember talking with a judicial colleague a number of years ago. His son was about to graduate from high school, and he said he was so irritating, couldn't wait for him to get out of the house. And they said part of it is, you know, they're growing up, they're asserting their own adulthood, and there's friction. Young people don't know what it's like to be old, and old people don't remember what it's like to be young. And, but hitting him in the head with a board is not the answer. You had an old assault and battery back when I was still prosecutor that got dismissed. This was charged as a domestic violence second because you had a domestic violence in Kalamazoo County a number of years ago. Was that their mother?
No, that was a previous relationship.
Yeah, I think you told me that also when I asked you that the last time. Do you know who the caseworker is, John?
Maybe I brought that file with me.
One question I had is what the prosecutor's position was about lifting the no contact provision. And I'm inclined to lift it in light of the fact that Children's Protective Services is involved. At some point, this family needs to be reunited.
Katie Johnson was the PS worker that testified on May 23rd in the Use Neglect Family Court matter.
All right, very good.
He has a court date on June 6th then for a pretrial conference, which will ultimately result in the court taking jurisdiction over him.
This was a Sunday. Or 62 days jail credit 2. And of the 62 days, 60 days are deferred, hanging some significant jail time over your head. If you do what I ask you to do, you're not going to do any immediate jail. Fine is 0. This isn't so much about money. I'm doing a 12-month probation. There's a $75 crime victims' rights fee, a $50 state minimum fee, a $150 attorney fee, $480 probation oversight fee, and you to pay for the class. I'm gonna do the anger management class. I think you did the domestic violence class. No assaultive or threatening behavior. I don't believe alcohol was a factor here, but everybody that's on probation has a condition of no drugs and no alcohol. If that were the reality, my caseload would go down by about 3/4 if there were no drugs or alcohol in our universe. You did post a $2,000 10% bond. So let's see what this adds up to. 75 plus 50 plus a 150 attorney fee plus 480 probation oversight fee is $755. You posted a $2,000 10% bond, which is $200. The court keeps 10% of the 10% bond by statute. So we'll subtract 180 and you'll 575. Plus the class, the anger management class. No assault or threatening behavior. Comply with all CPS directives and sign a release. No contact provision is lifted.
And there still is one in the other court, Your Honor, but I appreciate
Yes.
this one's up and lifted. I just don't want him to misunderstand, so.
As I said, I probably wouldn't have done it. I don't have any prosecutor input or victim input, but CPS is supervising it, and this gives them the discretion to allow it. If they want to have supervised visitation to start and then let them all move in, this won't be a roadblock to it. So when the other family court tells you you can have contact, this is an important time. It's going to take a while to reconcile this. In fact, it's going to take a lifetime to reconcile this. I don't know that he wants his dad to go to jail, put some extra guilt on a kid, or maybe he does, I don't know, but I've got some jail deferred if it needs to be instituted. This will affect your ability to use or possess a firearm. Do you hunt?
I do,
Or you won't be able to?
I can bow hunt, right?
You can bow hunt.
Well, that takes up most of my time. It's a lot longer than firearm anyway.
All right, you can
I
bow
move
hunt.
around.
That isn't up to me. That's a state and federal statute. If it's deferred, it doesn't affect it, but if it's not, it carries at least an 8-year firearm restriction. And I ask you to take that form downstairs to the probation department. And they will start the process for the anger management, which will help you in the family courts as well. They probably have some corollary of this, but they'll know that you're in our anger management program. And so your attitude is good. You regret this. As I said, you aren't proud of it, but you owned it. So now you need to start to rebuild things. And that's part of the process. All right, you're good to go. We're speaking with Jason Scott Yant, 2 files, 23613 and 614, motor vehicle cases under state statute. Are you Jason Scott Yant?
Yes.
You've been meeting with Assistant Prosecutor Melissa Halleck, and she wanted to do a little more work on your case, and she's gonna continue it. But I wanted to speak to you. You have $1,545 of unpaid previous traffic tickets, a nuisance ordinance, inoperable vehicle, use of a controlled substance from 2022, defective equipment, misdemeanor registration and plate violation, and a booking fee, which I'm not too concerned about. Then I also thought we had a warrant for your arrest, but it's not for Jason Yant, it's for Jeffrey Yant. Is
Right.
that your brother?
Yes, my brother, yes.
Tell him to get in here and deal with it.
I think he's in Cass.
Cass County Jail?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll check on that. All right, anyway, I don't know if we have payment plans or what the deal is, but I'd like you to stop out to the counter before you go and check into a payment plan on all of these
Going through a
unpaid
divorce,
fines.
so
What's that?
going through a divorce, so that's why it's been a lot.
All right, well, we didn't forget about them. The booking fees I'm not so concerned about, but with these others, we need to get them addressed or you won't be able to get your license cleared up. All right, you're good to go. We'll reset those and she gave you the date, but I'd like you to stop out at the counter. All right, next we've got Mr. Storm Lee Swartz. Good morning, Mr. Swartz.
Good morning, sir. How are you today?
Good. You've also got a bunch of unpaid stuff, but some of it's very old, and some of it are booking fees. We got two cases here, trespass under state statute 24730 SM, May 14th of 2024. And 24778, another, larceny, over 200 but less than 1,000.
Yes, sir.
You've also got some other stuff in other courts, but according to Ms. Halleck, you're gonna plead to these two charges and have them resolved. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me get into these. I had gotten into Mr. Yant's file. Let's do the trespass one first.
Are you in Jason Yant's file?
Yes. No, I'm in Joseph Chris' file.
Okay.
In file 24730, a formal complaint was filed by the county prosecutor's office. It was a ticket.
Yeah.
Written by Officer Seth Chittister alleging that you trespassed at 303 Middle Street on April 27th at 7:24 in the evening. Trespass is a misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to 30 days in jail and a fine of up to $250, I believe, the way it's written. Did anybody threaten you to get you to plead to that charge?
No, no, not at all. I'm just trying to get it resolved today. Even though my grandmother, even if you got a hold of my grandmother today, she'd even state that I wasn't trespassing. I'm allowed on the property.
Well, whose property is it?
It's, Sheila Mays. It's my
Yeah,
grandmother's.
it's condemned, isn't it?
Yeah, we're supposed to be working on it. And as soon as I got up there, somebody called the cops on me and said that I was trespassing.
All right, well,
I didn't
So-
ask him further details because he had said,
I'm just gonna plead guilty to it today.
all right. Well, the cops told you to stay away from there before, didn't they?
No,
Well, I mean, to say it needs major overhaul.
yeah, that's currently what we're doing right now.
Do you have building permits?
I believe they have all the permits, yes. But I was just up there, I was gonna clean up the yard because of the yard was a mess.
Well, this once upon a time was a fine house.
Yes, it was.
All right, well, it's 7 o'clock at night on April 27th, so it's almost dark. All right, you've been in jail for 15 days.
Yes, sir.
Here's Mr. Stickley, the public defender. I just want to make sure nobody threatened you to get you to plead to this charge or promised you anything.
No, sir, no, nothing like that at all.
And do you understand if you do plead to both of these charges, you'll be giving up your right to have a trial in front of a judge or jury?
Yes, sir.
If you had a trial, you'd have the right to be represented by an attorney. The public defender has just joined us. He may be more important in the next case than this one. Trial, you'd have the right to take the witness stand and testify on your own behalf. But you don't have to because you have a right not to testify. And if you did not wish to testify, the judge or jury could not hold your silence against you.
Yes, sir. I understand that.
You'd have the right to have any of the witnesses for or against you subpoenaed to come to court, so they could be questioned under oath. You have the right to be presumed innocent if and until the state was able to prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes, sir. I understand that also.
All right, you already told me what happened. I'm gonna give you 15 days jail credit, 15 days. zero fine. I'm gonna do the minimum crime victims' rights fee and state minimum fee. 125 or 2 days concurrent with other cases. Who was Dave Abrams to you? Your uncle?
Yeah, why?
Well, he was living in that house when he up and died.
Yeah, I was currently living at my mother's at the time when that happened. I wasn't living there at the time.
He was missing and he kept jumping in the river. It's just a sad situation.
Yes, it is.
He was a Navy veteran. When we were in school, he used to turn his hearing aid up and make a squealing sound to drive the teacher crazy. And she didn't know where it was coming from. And he'd go like this and you'd hear yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, he liked to pull pranks, a lot of pranks. He liked to be funny. If he could, he'd try to put a smile or a laugh on your face whenever he had the chance.
Let's talk about this other one. This is a larceny over 200, but less than 1,000. That is 24778. Let me get in that one. This is a little more substantial than the other one. All right, this is alleged that you stole a coat and wallet that belonged to Jared Yoder or Jane Price. And it had more than $200, but less than $1,000 in it. That's a misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to a year in jail and a fine of up to $2,000. Are you going to plead to this charge?
It's not a coat and a wallet.
No, I need to correct that, Your Honor. I emailed,
It was an e-bike?
yes, it's an e-bike. I don't know. I missed reviewing count one. The language that they put in is not correct. My notes indicate that this was an e-bike and it was returned eventually, so there's no restitution,
All right,
but
well, let me go back to the complaint.
so I already emailed the staff to
All right.
make the amended
It
complaint.
might have had come from a previous complaint or something and the language was just in there.
Yeah, I recognize the names are from a different complaint, actually, so.
And he would stipulate to it being an e-bike.
All right, thank you. Vincent Salinas was in Lincoln Street working on something. And they said you were riding this e-bike around. And they found the stolen e-bike. And that was you, was he at a work site and you saw his e-bike there and you took it?
Kind of something like that, yeah.
Did you have permission to take it?
No,
It's been returned?
yes, sir.
These will be the new thing
What, the e-bikes?
to be stolen. Several years ago, I might have told this story before. One of the clerks upstairs, Dina, had her bike stolen. And I think, I don't know where it was stolen from. Might have been stolen here at the courthouse. But anyway, she had her bicycle stolen. And Dick Meddy was working here as a bailiff and he did a bunch of other things. He found the bike in Three Rivers and he brought it to court, brought it back to her, but it was the wrong bike. He stole, he stole somebody else's bike. So we told him we were gonna get a warrant for him. I don't know whatever happened to I don't think Dina ever got her bike and I mean, he found it was like abandoned or something, but I don't know whatever happened to it, but we got a hard time making fun of him about it. But you got a bunch of things that are holding on to you and there is no restitution. I'm gonna do the same thing, 15 days jail credit, 15 days.
All upstairs. Alright, got an ammunition charge. Did do that shit and I don't know.
And the minimum allowable fine. You got other things holding on to you. This is 2 less things you have to worry about. Everybody should keep track of their e-bikes because they're easy to steal and their value is higher than a regular bicycle. But you can't take them to Mackinac Island. All right, you're good to go, Mr. Schwartz.
Thank
You
you,
got your
sir.
felony cases upstairs. You can deal with those. You also have a bunch of unpaid fines and costs. But you got other things going on. So these two cases are completed.
Okay, thank you.
You're charged with retail fraud in the third degree under Three Rivers ordinance. It's alleged that on or about January 9th, that you were at some store charged by Mr. George. I can't tell where it was. You were at a store in the city of Three Rivers. And they allege as you did alter, transfer, remove, replace, conceal, or otherwise misrepresent the price at which the property is for sale. Which would make me believe this is Walmart, but see what the affidavit says. Ashley Hit Boutique, Michigan Avenue. Okay, it's a misdemeanor, punishable by up to 93 days in jail and a fine of up to $500. You just had one of these under Sturgis ordinance that they did as a civil infraction. I think this one actually occurred before the Sturgis one. And you completed the Sturgis one by paying the fine and cost. Anyway, the allegation is that you took a sweatshirt and walked out with it. Not exactly the crime of the century, but that's the allegation. How do you plead to that charge?
Not guilty.
All right, would you like me to appoint a lawyer for you?
Sure.
You've got some old of these too. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. The plea of not guilty, appoint an attorney. Set attorney pretrial for July 12th. You still live on Airline Road?
I do, sir.
All right. We'll get a lawyer for you
Okay.
and see where this goes. I don't know that they have video of this. Says she knows you personally as your frequent customer. Okay. Well, I'll have the court officer take you out. We'll get an attorney for you and go from there.
Okay.
All right, I'll see you on July 12th.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you want this to just go with that? Yeah.
All right, yes. Stephen McClish. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.